The golden standard, isolation, registration, and the great seed selection of the golden standard, yeah. Hello and welcome. First off, thank you for watching my videos. I'm having a lot of fun with them. I'm a hardworking guy in the industry. I absolutely love what I do. It's great. Like a big kid in a candy store, I get to try all the different peppers. That's a pro. Another pro is I can work as many hours as I want to. I don't have to beg for overtime. A con is I have to work a lot of them. But I still enjoy what I do. So I am actually blessed. So I work as hard as I can. I try to educate myself and everything else. So I notice things. Everybody needs guidelines. I need guidelines as much as everybody else does. And we all follow in each other's footsteps. And that's just natural process of life. You know, I started this company 5 years ago. I've been in the pepper groups for about 10 years. And I purchase seeds from people like Jim Duffy, who isolates. He has become a friend of mine, and I'm grateful for that. I've become friends with Juca Fatale, Chris Fowler. Those guys are great people. I've learned to branch out, and I've learned growing hints and stuff like that from them. They're an inspiration. There's a lot of people on YouTube, gardeners, that I feel inspired from. And people look up to me as well. So a positive thing in the pepper community is the mass gates that were going like this. I could almost see them, and then they broke open, and all these people in the pepper community, it helps my business. It's their interest. Then they start becoming sellers. A lot of times it's first-year growers, second-year growers becoming seed vendors. Some of these guys, they got a good heart. They're working hard. During COVID-19, a lot of people lost their jobs, or at least were off the certain amount of time. Times were tough, so guys started selling seeds. And it's kind of a cool thing. It really gets people involved. It's a bonding experience, but there's pros and cons about it as well. So I did actually write a little bit of a speech, and I'm going to have a little bit of comedy in here as well. I am a goofball, but I'm very serious about my business as well. I should memorize this instead of reading it. But I wrote this as the golden standard I follow. As a seed vendor, I try the best I can. Sure, mistakes can happen. I'll give you a couple examples where I made mistakes. Autocorrect when I do my website. I've literally written pepper, and then I hit the space, and it'll list it as paper, but I was proofreading word per word. And I've learned, and this is what I've learned, just little things like that really matter, and it can throw people off. It doesn't look as professional. I thought that was time consuming. The words were right in front of me. So that happened. Also, it actually changed the purple UFO. I had it listed as Capsicum chinense, and people told me that I look up to. You don't have to apologize to the public, but somehow, some way I felt like, hey, I do apologize. It's Capsicum annuum. So it happens, especially working 12, 16 hours a day full time. You know, so I'm not perfect. And there's way better people who've done their websites better than me. I'm just trying the best I can. I'm a one-man team for right now. Hiring people in the future is in the near future. So what do I do different that sets me apart to put me in the golden standard? And there's pros and cons about being in the golden standard. One, isolation. What is isolation? Isolation is basically you're trying your specific species not to cross-pollinate. Basically bees. The wind is really not going to affect too much with the pollen. Pepper plants are self-pollinators. So basically you want to stop the bees from crossing species. When you buy seeds from somebody who is non-isolated, also a general mistake in the general public on seed vendors, especially newer seed vendors, hobbyists, people who've just learned how to grow and they're selling right away, they call it open pollinated. The proper term is non-isolated. When the flower opens up, it's open pollinated. You can isolate and you have several plants of the same species in there, it's still open pollinated, but it's isolated. Hopefully you understand. I did not rehearse this, but I did write a little notes for myself, and I know somehow I'm going to forget things. Also, seed selection. What I mean by seed selection is, for example, 7-Pot Brown JP was seed selected for, I think we're going on year number 9, generation number 9. Each year doesn't mean generation, it just means, well, the generation is you grow the plant, get the pepper, get the seeds, and then grow those out, and then that's generation number 1. So, seed selection, usually for the best shapes. The pepper world is really keen into cookie cutter shapes. You're not going to get cookie cutter shapes. Even with the Primo or the Reaper, there's going to be changes and variants in those peppers. Things that can happen for that would actually be environment, meaning if you have a lot of rain, which can actually swell your pepper, get a little bit bigger, and then you have a drought and you don't water, and what happens is your pepper starts coming inward, starts contracting, and it's fluctuating a little bit. You might not notice it as you stare at your peppers every day, because we all do. It's like staring at your seeds to germinate. Somehow it works, right? But those things really do take effect. Your nutrients, your sunshine, especially, your temperature, all of those things. But seed selection, every single year I take seeds out of the best looking peppers. I save them for myself to grow them the next year. What happens with that is I end up trying to get the better shape, the more the cookie cutter shape, which you're not really going to get. You want cookie cutter shapes, go for heirlooms, landrace peppers, that sort of thing. But I try my best. Also, being a vendor, I have the great opportunity of getting specific peppers that a lot of people do not have access to, because I have a wide range of networking. Somebody who's been around for a year or two, you're not going to have the networking that I have. I'm in constant contact. We're talking hundreds of people per week I'm speaking with. And actually, one thing that just popped into my head, sometimes it's not the great botanists in the world. This is where I actually throw the bone to the general public and say, I thank you guys, because you guys help me too. We help each other. There's customers that got color variants of peppers that I sold them, and they got a color variant. And sometimes people get disappointed. That has nothing to do with isolation. That has to do with the pigment and environment. I'm not a botanist, so I can't really get into that. I do not give false information out. So that being said, but I'm thankful for getting some of those back. And I'm like, some people are like, here, just take them. You already gave me freebies with the order. I'm at least giving 2 packs for free with every order, So, and another thing is, some of the stuff I get is unstable. I'll give you an example. The Bain strain peach, my friend Kevin Bain, that's his cross. I had the golden standard on that because I got to choose the shape. I have pictures of all the generations. The Bain strain peach was actually a much larger pepper. I mean, generally speaking, it's this size, but originally it was like this. Beautiful pepper, gorgeous pepper. It looked like a crescent moon, and you still get that like scorpion tail. It's kind of a thicker scorpion tail, but it had more definition in it and more gnarly in the beginning. You guys do enough hybrids or crosses, whatever you want to call it, and a lot of times on F2s you get the really cool gnarly stuff. So that's part of the golden standard, is choosing the phenotype, and pheno is across the board on the plant. It's part of stabilizing, and it takes generations after generations. Not getting too much into that, but I will give a little hint to people doing it. I'm watching people. I'm watching them because I'm learning, and it's interesting. I find a lot of things like Reddit, Instagram, especially Facebook, is like better than television at times. So when they take an unstable pepper with an unstable pepper, and these guys want to do crosses, and if they're the only ones with that cross, and they're starting to cross the unstable cross with the unstable cross to get peppers before the general public gets it from those hobbyist hybridizers, it ends up you'll never stabilize it. And certain peppers out in the world are very hard to stabilize, although they might be around for a long time. That's why, what's good about me is I've been around for 10 years. I feel like this is a speech to become president. But, and I'm not the only seed vendor out there. There's plenty of good ones. There's some new hobbyist ones that I strong back. I salute. They're trying the best they can. They might have something I don't have. So we all work as a team. We all need each other. It's just, I'll get into more of what's going on and how everything affects me. I didn't write everything down, but I remember something else I noticed, especially on Facebook. There's been, I believe, exact number was 5 posts made from 5 different people. Why are certain vendors' prices $5 to $7? And I know who they're talking about. They're talking about me. They're talking about my friend Duffy. They're talking about some other vendors. Well, there's specific reasons why. I know a couple of vendors overseas that the government charges them more money. They have a lot of employees, so they might give you a little bit less than 10 seeds, and their prices might be a little bit more expensive, and they're all registered, so that's another reason why their prices could be more expensive. Supply and demand, how much, it's like baseball cards. If a certain thing is only printed 1,000 times, it's going to be worth more money than something's been overpopulated in the Topps baseball card world. So there's that. Also, if you isolate, most vendors do not. It's really the proper thing to do. And I'm also not here to educate competitors who are actually going to sell cheaper than me. But I always say you can get organza bags. I do buy my nets locally and in bulk. But just do a research on Google. I get a lot of questions on that type of stuff. So, and also I want to say I'm not perfect and I'm trying to better myself. I actually analyze other vendors. I do, but I also analyze myself. And I see little things I don't particularly like every year because I'm highly critical on myself. I have to be highly critical on myself if I want improvement. I have to take criticism as well. I have to be open-minded, and open-hearted towards things as well, regardless of positive or negative. And I'll get into some of that. Okay, so I went through isolation for the Golden Standard, seed selection, working on crosses and phenos for the general public. I also go by the extra mile by registering my company, seed license variants in land, blueprints, etc. So I'm doing this full time. And I think I'm going to skip down here from what I wrote. So me doing this full time also gives me, well, technically, because I'm doing this full time, it gives me less time to actually do customer service. But I always do customer service. Every single day I estimated, I was calculating before I even did this video. I give at least 1 hour of customer service to non-customers. And I started asking myself, and I did ask some people who came up to me for customer service that were not customers. And I said, if you didn't buy from me, how come you came to me? And they said, and this is I did like a secret survey for the last couple of years. And the reason is a lot of the sellers have other jobs. So they don't have time to give the customer service. And that's taking away from my job, which could actually lower my money. However, obviously from this video and all my other videos, clearly I chug a lot of coffee and I love the general public. Although you guys drive me nuts at times. I could drive myself nuts at times. So, and also they're like, yeah, some of these guys, they don't know the reasons. They just start selling their first year or second year growing. That's the majority. I started figuring out they're new sellers, so they don't know. I mean, my competitors are coming to me, and my competitors' customers are coming to me on mass levels. So that's part of the Golden Standard if they're all coming to me. Hey, I got this situation. You know, I got ants in my grow. How do I get rid of them? What do I do? What's the organic way? What's the non-organic way? I got aphids, stuff like this. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're a vendor, you should know this stuff already. But, you know, it's part of the whole family community thing. But it's, once again, the Golden Standard. Now, what triggered me to make this video? I get at least 100 people per year saying, why are your prices $5? They should be $2, $3. Well, first of all, when Super Huts and everything came about, they were $9 or $12. They were about $10 a pack. And I'm selling for $5.49. The more sellers are coming in. Now, first of all, I don't want to go that route right off the bat. The more things get populated for the Super Huts within the United States and everything, the prices are going to go down naturally. So don't let me give you that excuse of the next thing. There's too many sellers, you know. Well, there's so many sellers and they're undercutting it, it actually takes the market value down. Well, they have another job and I'm still the Golden Standard and I'm doing customer service for their customers. I'm doing customer service for my own competitors. And it's like I don't want to teach my competitors too much, so I become the jerk by not giving enough information and everything else. But like I said, I have much love for everybody. It's just I'm working 12 to 16 hours a day. And it becomes, I'm hoping I come off as a nice guy here. I hope this isn't just a complaint thing. It's just, I see more and more people. It's like a pledge class coming in. Oh yeah, we're first year growers, second year growers, selling. First year growers, second year growers, selling. And each year or two, I noticed people were selling $5, $6 2 years ago. Now it's $4, now it's $3. 2 days ago, people were selling 20 seeds for $1.50. I even noticed one guy was selling for 50 cents. And people say, and this is what's happening, garden people are crossing over into the pepper industry and saying, hey, you know what? Our squash seeds, because they're overabundant and stuff, they're not thinking about supply and demand is so important in the business world. Oh, we can get a Burpee or whatever, or other independent companies, and get squash seeds and tomato seeds for $2. it's like they're one step above the Dollar General. Then they come to the pepper world, and then they see the newer sellers. You know, like I said, some of those guys are really nice people. And I've gone the extra mile with some of these people. I talked on the phone with them for countless hours. You know, I probably gave them too much information. And it's like I'm helping out competition while they have another job where they might be making $12, $15, $20 an hour. But I need this for my livelihood. So I start weighing things out. But, you know, there's plenty of money to be made amongst a lot of people. And we can all benefit each other. It's just two negative things. I'll say the negative things. Why do I say them? So we can take the negative things and turn them positive. The negative things is people selling seeds dirt cheap and moving a lot of it. They're not making much money. I totally get that. But then they sell, I don't know, $500 worth of seeds within a day, get that money quick. They sell out because they're not doing it full time. They go to work, they're busy, they got family vacations, they do all this. I see it all the time. They're busy, they can't answer. Now I got to do their customer service. You know, it's beyond insanity. So that's where it becomes the golden standard. I also, when I started this company, I wanted to do some things a little bit that I haven't reached to that level because I got consumed with just doing customer service and just doing my own grow and trying to better myself and educate myself and talking with other vendors and everything else and people. But I want to get into doing more charts. And on Facebook, I do release some charts here and there. But there's a lot to learn. I'm still learning about the pepper industry. And I'm going to say it again. I'm going to get trolled on this video. I know I am. It's the troll correlation. The higher you go up in the pepper industry, the more trolls you get. I've been getting it a lot lately. People are like, oh, you're saying it wrong. But meanwhile, I'm saying it right. They're just repeating what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm not trying to come off pompous. It's just there's certain higher standards as a vendor you need to do. You should be isolating. I do buy, now I'm going to flip the tables. I'm a customer as well. So I buy off of people who do not isolate. I'm going to give you my first year as a company, I spent $150 with a certain individual. He's probably a very, very popular name on Google, very popular name on Facebook. His seeds are like $2, $3 a pack. And I spent $150 with him. That's not just $150. It costs money for me to isolate those, for the bamboo pools I use for support, the containers, they're not cheap, the grow lights, everything, plus all the regulations. So that $150, I forgot what I wrote down as a loss, like $900 as a loss because I grew $150 worth of seeds. 2 plants grew true. I couldn't sell those seeds because when you have an isolation net and 2 plants grow true and the other ones in that net did not grow true, there's a chance they could have cross-pollinated. They're truly not isolated. So I saved those seeds and I grew them again the following year. They ended up growing true for those. 2 plants out of $150 worth of seeds. That's several hundred plants. You know, only if that guy isolated, that situation would have never evolved. And the fact is, another standard is a standard in life. If you spend more money with a company, you have higher standards with that company. You know, if you spend, I'll give you an example. If you buy a vacuum cleaner at a garage sale for $20 and it breaks in a week, they're like, the important word is expectations. Expectations. You can't expect too much if you're buying from just any old person who popped up on Facebook selling a vacuum cleaner Or if you go to a legitimate company that took proper standards, golden standards, on to give a higher quality, which is not always 100%, but we've gone the extra mile, you're going to give us more emphasis. And the golden standard, which I laughed about this because I went to Giant Eagle and there was ginger ale, a really good kind of spicy ginger ale from Jamaica, right down by the beach, man. And this bottle cap said the golden standard. I'm like, you know what? I contacted some vendors. I'm like, that's us. I mean, and another thing, I'll tell you why I'm really giving emphasis on this. If I'm not the golden standard, why are people stealing my pictures off my website and using them? I know a friend of mine, his pictures, he's a vendor, got stolen, and they used it on Etsy. And they wrote isolated, organic, heirloom. And by the way, Carolina Reaper's not a heirloom. That's another issue if you don't have the proper knowledge and everything. I do make mistakes. And I will point out my mistakes and stuff. Just a lot of spelling, stuff like this. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying not to be so tired when I write descriptions. I need to put up more pictures, better pictures, longer and better descriptions. Certain peppers I have a hard time. I don't know the full story on. And I literally have contacted people. And I'll give you an example about that. Let's see. I mean, I've contacted certain people who've made crosses that I sell that nobody's ever really contacted before. Like Chris Saunders, who came up with the Primo Tally. I contacted him and spoke with him. Very interesting guy. It was almost going through a wormhole portal. And he had a similar story. He's like, I made these crosses. I was selling seeds. I got popular. And here's something I didn't plan to mention, but I will, especially with Father's Day. My father died. 40 people, not one, not two, not three, 40 people in the pepper community trolled me, and they were all competitors. First year, second, third year growers selling seeds. Oh yeah, Pickles is taking his father's death and trying to make sales from it. I never did. Those motherfuckers. I posted an obituary. And I get trolled every single day. You guys don't hear about it. I see some of the newer guys coming in and they're like, oh yeah, this guy, he wanted too much customer service, or this guy trolled me. Here's a screenshot of it. I don't do that anymore. And the reason I don't do that anymore is because that's all I would be, and it would be all negative. I like to focus on the positive, but I wanted to bring up the golden standard. Yeah, people are counterfeiting my seeds. I did make a post about that. 2 people that I caught are counterfeiting my seeds. They're printing out labels and then just selling any old seeds. How do I know this? Well, first of all, I looked up Chocolate Primo Tally, and the second biggest seller selling those right now is a counterfeiter in the Philippines. Also, international people contact me and say, hey, your seeds are not grown true. I said, first of all, I don't ship international, but maybe use the middleman. Who'd you sell? Where'd you get this from? Who bought this? And they're like, oh, this is his website. Oh, I've never sold to him. So they're just printing out my labels. So that, obviously, if they're counterfeiting me, I'm the person to do it. They're not going to counterfeit somebody lower down. So there's that. Oh, and like I said, I got a big sense of humor. Let's see. I want to say some positive things too, but this should make you laugh. So this is the way I feel about it, and this is what it is. So these guys are selling $500 worth of seeds or $1,000 worth of seeds. Boom, 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 because they're so dirt cheap. And 8 months later, they're at work all day long, and they come back, they shower, they eat, they make love to their wives, they play with their kids. Meanwhile, they're not doing customer service all day long because they're working another job. All their customers are coming to me. So when they go and private message them or email them and they can't get a hold of them, this is what it's like. This is what it's like. So, we'll say, I'm not Jimmy Pickles right now. I'm another vendor. You know, I tried my best. I'm not saying anything negative about it. I tried my best. I didn't isolate it or whatever. I don't do this full time, so you can't hold much standard towards me. So if they cross, not my fault. That type of ordeal. And then they go to work. They can't do customer service. And then all of a sudden they push this thing in front. Out to lunch. I'll contact you in 2 days. So it's something like this, just to make you guys laugh. It's like I'm here, but I'm not here. So they do something like that. I've been going live a lot. So basically, what ends up happening is if I have to go to the restroom or more hot sauce or get more water, I'm like, you know, so I'll just put this in front of the camera. You know, so I'm actually like here, just to make you guys laugh. And I try to have this as a community talk amongst themselves. So, all right. So these are the things that I came across. Let's see. And, you know, the questions that people come to me, either it's my customers or not, one of the biggest questions is germination. You got to be patient. And these other guys, they don't give instructions. I do. Some do, but most do not. Most don't even have a website. They have just notebook paper and take a screenshot. And I'm not cutting down those people. I'm looking right in your eyes. I'm friends with some of those guys who do that. You know, but they don't get the background information, so they'll buy from them and ask me because they're at a job. And it gets very time consuming. So it's like I'm kind of giving myself a pat on the back. I'm not perfect. All right, so biggest questions for customer service is germination. I say follow the instructions because people spend $5 with me compared to $3. And by the way, my seed, I'm telling you right now with my hand, like one hand basically on the Bible and one hand up. I mean, I testify my seeds should be sold at $8 a pack. It depends upon the variety and the species. They should be on an average, we'll say $7 a pack, but I sell them for $5.49. My prices on my company went up, but I still kept my prices the same because I have a lot of respect and love for the community in general. I know it's hard for people, so I throw them some extras, you know, especially if I know they're down on their luck. I do have a heart. I am very business oriented, and I look at every aspect of the business world, how things are going. How does the pin drop in the ocean ripple? How's the ripple affect everything? I've had some, I mean, it's crazy on just the questions I get. I should write all the questions down and just do a video. I could be like, these are questions from customers, and here's my answers for all of them. I mean, there's people who wanted refunds because a pepper wouldn't ripen. Well, if they're trying to get them outside, a lot of times the reason why pepper won't ripen is if you got them outside and they got stunted, and they won't ripen, and they're like, oh, there's something wrong with my pepper, I want a refund. And meanwhile, they're getting soft. It happens early in the season because of the colder temperatures. Let's see. But all in all, I love what I do. I do honestly make more money than the average Joe selling seeds. So this is not a complaint vent. It's just giving you a mirror reflection of what my daily thing is. Now, I got the private messenger on mute and the telephone on airplane mode. So when I go back, I'm guaranteed to have 10 people there asking me questions that are not even my customers. And I'll try to answer all of them, but I do have a lot of work to do. I need to work on the website as well. That's what I'm going to be working on a lot. And social media. Let's see. Yeah, the big thing that I get is my prices. Like I went over, I just went over. You know, the more people who sell dirt cheap, it actually makes the people who paid their dues. But I mean, I've been growing my whole life. I've been in the Facebook pepper groups for 10 years. I've been isolating, all this stuff. Newer people coming in, just newer people in general, either it's a crossover from the gardening groups, are starting to see an average of lower prices, and they come to me and then think I'm ridiculous. So, I mean, that's a crazy aspect, but it's true. If it wasn't true, I wouldn't say it. So, okay. On the back. That's it. So, I am long-winded. I try to never go out to lunch. This is my twin. He works for me. Kind of creepy, right? I also, obviously, it sounds like I complain. I guess I am. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I want to be truthful with people. I do complain to myself a little bit if I have to do a lot of customer service for other companies. There's newer companies out there that tell other vendors, you should answer every question from every single person. What if you get thousands of questions per week and you have to work 16 hours that day? It's not possible. It's not really my responsibility, but I do have a heart for the pepper community. That's why I'm here on YouTube. Stay tuned to my live videos. Write down questions. Also, don't be afraid to research. One important aspect on learning how to grow better or varieties or any information in the pepper community is be cautious. Asking a grow question to the general public, when the general public is a bunch of newbies anyway, you can get the wrong answer and it can ruin your whole grow. And also, why not spend that extra dollar or two to make sure things grow true? That's why I spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to isolate, to spend hundreds of hours setting up per year. And I have to replace those nets about every couple of years. I had to replace some new nets already. Birds pecking at them or their claws get stuck. Got to replace them. And it's very costly. But I love what I do. I figured I'd bring up these things. And just to give the final thoughts on this, what triggered me, what inspired me, inspired and triggered at the same time, is a large amount of counterfeiting going on in the pepper community. People stealing my images to sell products with. People stealing my competitors' images and selling products with who do not even grow. And that could taint our names. And it's just the more sellers there are that have other jobs, the more customer service I have to give to everybody. And it's becoming overwhelming. So to be honest, I have private messenger on mute most of the time. And let's back up, like far back up. When I was a child, that was peace of mind. Even as a young adult and as an adult, it's peace of mind going out there and working hard to see the fruits of labor, which is your peppers. You know, so oftentimes I'm getting in the habit of leaving my phone on the charger, walking outside for 2 hours, working, and then coming back in. Because a lot of times, if I have to give customer service, I have to wash my hands. I'm like, okay, how may I help you? They're like, oh, hold on, I'm at work. I'll be back in 5 minutes. What do I just stand there? So put it back in my pocket. 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, they're messaging back. So I'm learning to cope with those type of things. Maybe I could just answer all the questions a week later just try to categorize. It'll be highlighted on my private messenger or emails that haven't been read. And I answer everybody's questions anyway. So, because there is a mass floodgate that broke open, an echoing sound of the locks and the chains opening, and 10 billion people selling, it's become almost unbearable answering every question. But that's why when people ask general growth questions, now I could give the link to this page, to this channel. And I want to be available for pretty much everybody I can, if I can, without saying, out to lunch, I'll be back. So, the golden standard, it's kind of long-winded. I could have probably broke this down to 5 minutes, but coffee kicked in and I just went with it. I think I will end up having a live video of this. That way we can have question and answers, possibly tomorrow. So thank you all for watching.